Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another live session with the Hype Magazine. I'm your editor-in-chief, Jerry Doby, and today I have the great pleasure of being with a football giant. Literally, he was with the New York Giants by the name of Carl Banks. He is a two-time Super Bowl winner, and he is now moving his legacy into the fashion world. He's got a partnership with the iconic uh, sportswear brand Starter. And last year he dropped the Legacy collection. And this year he's bringing back the Bronx Bubble Jacket, which is slated to hit stores late October. Appreciate you. Congratulations on a stellar professional football career. Congratulations on, stepping into the high end entrepreneurial realm. You know what I mean? Partnering with the MLB as well as Starter. Um, Man, congratulations and salute.
Thanks, Jerry. I really appreciate it, man. This is, fashion is passion, pardon the pun, but it is intended. Um, I've been at it for a while. I started this when I was playing for the New York Giants, and I was one of the first players to uh, rep and endorse the Starter brand. And for those who are younger, who grew up in the um, Air Force One, the Air Jordan and Nike era. Before that, the brand Starter was the one that connected pop culture and sports. And, I was part of that, some of the most iconic pieces ever made in sports apparel that basically transitioned or crossed over or merged, however you want to look at it, in the streets were the Starter satin jackets. And a few years ago, it's been more than a few now, about 10 years ago, I was able to grab the license for the Starter brand to reintroduce it into sport. And we were able to successfully launch it, and it's been off and running ever since. But the beautiful part about it, and I'm sure you will appreciate this as a journalist, is that the storytelling around the brand is something special, right? And when Air Jordans first came out, there was somebody that had something that happened when they got their Jordans, or somebody, whatever happens with their Jordans, right? Well, Starter is that same emotional connection. And it was that emotional connection before the shoe companies were out there. Now, keep in mind, I'm not comparing apples to apples because one is shoes and the other one is clothing.
Right.
But if you can imagine people standing in line to buy a satin jacket, right? Or having a color that had nothing to do whatsoever with the city or your hometown team. And there's this emotional connection that people have with the brand. And, we call them starter stories. Like if anybody in a household was born from 1975 and on, there's a starter story in every house. I guarantee you, somebody's got a story about a starter jacket. And part of that starter heritage is the fact that the brand was a part of every major championship in American sport. And, it gives us so much runway to tell stories and to connect the narrative of sport, fashion, culture, sport, because it's nothing new when you see, celebrities and a lot of entertainers that are aligned with athletes. That's been going on forever, right? And the one thread that connected and that still connects it is the fashion element of it, right? And the starter piece of it is something that allows me to continue to tell those stories and connect successfully, generation after generation after generation of of youth, of athlete, of entertainer. And one of the things that we wanted to do this year was to help celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And Starter played such a great uh, role in that era in fashion, right? So Grandmaster Flash wore starter jackets. He's, by many accounts, the godfather of hip hop, right?
Mm.
And he was part of the starter legacy. You have story after story after story. If you want to look at Two Live Crew, their album cover, if you want to look at LL Cool J, you want to look at Run DMC, if you want to look at the mobster John Gotti walking in New York City with an Oakland Raiders jacket on. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Tim Allen in Home Improvement, right? Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff were big parts of the starter campaign. And then you can see Kendrick Lamar on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, or just recently, like days ago, um, Northwest was posing with her mother Kim Kardashian in a vintage hockey starter jersey. So the brand just keeps resonating. But one of the reasons why I thought our latest launch, the Bronx Bubble, was important is because this was during an era when the Yankees were winning championships in the 90s. And as the story goes, the late, great George Steinbrenner would not allow his Yankees team to take the diamond or the field without starter jackets on.
Wow.
Major League Baseball moved on from starter and they had another sponsor, but George Steinbrenner would not allow. He had one retailer, Mitchell Modell Sporting Goods, warehouse as many starter Yankee jackets as he could hold because he did not want his team to take the field without starter Yankee jackets. And part of that collection was the bubble jacket. And, from a streetwear culture standpoint, the bubble jacket has always been a staple. But during that era, it was huge. And, you had, celebrity after celebrity rocking bubble jackets, but then you start to see all these Yankee bubble jackets. Like Spike Lee wore like 2 or 3 Yankee bubble jackets in his Pizza Hut commercial, right? And this is all during that time. So how do I connect the dots, right? So you've got um, the Bronx Bubble, you've got Salute to Hip Hop, which is the birthplace of hip hop is in the Bronx. And then you've got the Yankee, the most iconic logo in sports, and they couldn't live without the brand. So we thought, to help celebrate or to be a part of the celebration of the 50th of hip hop, that we should relaunch this bubble. And it has been hugely successful. It has resonated. And again, for those who were celebrating the Yankees in the 90s, they got starter stories about this jacket. There are other people that just part of the staple of streetwear, have stories about that jacket. And so,
Right.
I mean, it just continues on and on from there. So that's the beauty of having a great brand, a great IP like Starter, because there's a legacy attached to it, but it's also the iconic fashion pieces that the brand uh, put out that's just timeless. And yes, we update some, we introduce other styles that were not introduced back, but it's just a brand that resonates with everybody because it's synonymous not only with culture, right? but it's synonymous with quality. Like that's the one thing I wanted to make sure when I reintroduced the brand that the quality was not compromised. If anything, it was made better because people uh, they pay good money for your product, and we're in an era right now of fast fashion, right? But I'm like, we're not participating in that. Starter stands for something. This logo stands for something,
Right.
and we're not going to participate in product that is beneath the status of this logo. And so we continue to put out great product. Um, the Bronx Bubble, the original downfill in it. We wanted to make sure it was still downfill and not put with poly in it. And so we just wanted to make sure every element that people expect from the brand is included in today's product. And then when we took the brand, we wanted to make sure everywhere it lived, we wanted to have those relationships again. So we mentioned Major League Baseball, we have football, we have college, we have National Hockey League. So every major sport, plus college, plus some really cool collaborations. So, you know, this Bronx Bubble hits um, in October, but we are launching another area where that,
Uh-oh.
yeah, we like right on the heels of that in November, we've got about three different drops. We got a Black Friday drop because
Uh-oh.
we're introducing the Rare Black series from Starter, and we're gonna celebrate. Um, USC is playing on Black Friday. My alma mater, Michigan State and Penn State are playing on Black Friday. The New York Jets are playing on Black Friday. So that's just a rare piece that when people see it and it's reintroduced, they're gonna be like, "Oh, I gotta have it." And then from there, we have, and this is still we're still curating this or ideating it, but the end of November, which is a week after Black Friday, we're launching the working title was the Black Ice Collection,
Okay.
um, because it's a Black series as well with hockey, the
Hockey.
NHL, right? And one of the things that um, I want to make sure I do when we start to curate these collections is to see where in community we can either make a contribution or be inclusive, right? And so with the National Hockey League in this launch that we're doing, the first thing I asked is like, are there any minority communities or organizations that you work with, right? So they said there's hockey in Harlem or ice hockey in Harlem. And I've been doing a lot of research and I've talked to a few of the board members. So we want to make sure that they're somehow included in this launch and slash campaign because it's just not just a campaign or a drop, it's an ongoing project. So we're exploring how we're going to work with them and be inclusive in that because they're serving, you know, underprivileged kids and minority kids of color as well. And we wanted to make sure that that's seen as well when we start to launch these programs. But the product category is pretty cool. And then, I mean, we have a full calendar of really cool stuff that we're doing, but um, we want to do it right. We want to do it big, and we want to make sure it's quality that that represents the starter um, logo.
Well, it's obvious that you, under your lead, you're continuing, Starter's corporate
Mhm.
citizenship, campaigns and initiatives and reigniting those. And very, very unique in how you're applying it and juxtaposing, you know, hip hop, sports, and forgive me for even saying it, but the Del Monte
Mhm.
of sports apparel.
Yes.
Everybody knows it. It is a solid brand. I grew up when I'm 60 years old and I, had a few pieces myself when
Yeah.
I was lucky enough, you know. and I think they last longer than some of the other stuff that I've worn. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's the key, right? I mean, for me anyway, because I wore it as a player on field. So I wanted to make sure that that quality lasted like it did when it was the official sideline apparel.
Mhm.
So we're building that product that way. And I have a vault full of vintage starter stuff just to make sure we don't miss details.
Amazing. So you're doing all of this as president of your own sports company. Is it I want to say G3, but it's GI?
No, G3.
G3?
Yeah,
Okay.
G3 Sports by Carl Banks. Yeah.
Yeah. G3 Sports by Carl Banks. So,
Mhm.
you know, merging your talents and your ability to create unique fan or supporter experiences and playing on the memories, mind mapping the apparel market for the to celebrate the memories of people who at our age remember, like, yo, this was the spot. And
Mhm.
capitalizing also on hip hop 50, and with so many hip hop icons having sported the brand, certainly you're masterfully connecting with audiences from a wide spectrum, and maybe even seeing some resurgence overseas as well. How's that playing
Yeah,
out?
we actually did a collaboration with Acme Studios in Amsterdam, and that went really well. But yeah, we have the brand is in Italy, it's in Japan, it's in Europe, across all of Europe, and it's doing well. It's doing really well, and then in Canada as well. But it's like the thing about sports, it's just such an emotional connection that people have, right?
Right.
And um, the intersection of sports and entertainment, that line is basically blurred now. When you have an icon like Jay-Z that curates all of the entertainment for the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
And when you look at the NBA entertainment aspect of it, with their All-Star games, it's the intersection is just there. Like they removed the stoplight and put a yield sign so everybody can merge together. And so when you have that, you want to make sure that your product is appealing, right? Um, and you want to make, and here's where I think Starter has always been really good at navigating making fandom a wearable experience. Not a corny one, right? Not a
Right.
rah rah. I mean, I have a brand that does that for Home Shopping Network. This isn't it. Like Starter is, you put the Starter product on, you feel great. You feel part of culture. You feel that your fandom is elevated, right? And there's that emotional connection to your team, and as you move around your perspective environment.
Yeah. And for me personally, to connect with it, it makes me feel like our history and evolution in different aspects is being celebrated,
Mhm.
recognized. It's a real personal connection. I'm like, yeah. And I remember. So it's kind of like hearing, your favorite Teddy Pendergrass song. You like, where was I
Yeah,
when, Turn Out the Lights came on? Where
yeah,
was I?
but then there's Lil Yachty who loves
Right,
starter hockey jerseys, right?
right,
So it just continues. The beautiful part about sports is it continuously writes, it perpetually writes history,
right.
right? Every week, every day, history is made. And to be aligned with that, with a legacy brand that can continue to do that, it's not only our generation that can say, I was here or I wore that, or it was, damn, I just saw DJ Khaled unbox a starter jersey, or I just saw Northwest in a starter hockey vintage jersey, or Lil Yachty just performed this last video. And so it just continues to be authenticated by each and every generation.
Yeah, certainly, validated and crossing, generational line. That in the music industry, they call it forever music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the song that you'll hear every Christmas, Mariah Carey,
Yeah.
or, it's one of those. It's an indelible part of our history, our culture. And welcome back, Starter.
I appreciate you.
I'm a fan. And congratulations. It takes a lot of intestinal fortitude, first of all, to start your own business, especially coming out of professional ball or professional sports of any kind, and maybe even, upper echelon corporate structure, to strike out on your own and basically put work clothes on your dream.
Yeah.
And go make it happen. So, thank you for being a picture of, for our young gentlemen, that you don't always have to be in front of the microphone. The sports are not the end all, say all. It's critical thinking, soft skills, relationship building, networking, and really putting in the work. Know the business. And on an expanded note, have empathy for the world around you, so that you can absorb what's going on. And in turn, it creates entrepreneurial opportunities, and you have to be ready for those.
No doubt.
Into place.
You said it perfectly. Yep.
Okay. So, Mr. Carl Banks, beyond the football, New York Giants star linebacker, president of G3, and now the face and driving force of a new renaissance for the Starter brand, covering all aspects. Coming up this October, the Bronx Bubble Jacket resurgence. You've seen them. And in November, they've got something else special coming down. Thank you so much. Let's give them the website, and let's talk about, opportunities for the young folks out there that G3 Sports. They need
G3 Sports, but the website is starter.com. My Instagram and all my social handles are Carl Banks GIII. And I'm always updating, but between those, and then there's the Starter Instagram and all their socials as well. So tune in. We got a lot of good stuff, and I'm always on social media. So if you guys have questions or want to talk sports, I do that too, as well as fashion.
All right. Thank you so much. The Hype Magazine live sessions, Carl Banks, Starter, Bronx Bubble Jacket, October. Stay tuned.
As an artist, we should reflect the time.
Why you so talented?
Because I'm black.
Why you so amazing?
Because I'm black.
It's really important that we build characters so that people understand their story matters.
2 Chainz and I both are just really into good food.
And when you know you are royalty, you will only aim in life to be royalty.
We're doing it right now. I don't give a damn what they say about me. Yes, I called your ass out. I know I shouldn't be saying this kind of.
Shout out to Hype Magazine Network.
Shout out to the Hype Magazine Network.